Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's $1 Million Mentor Masterclass. And today I'm going to be talking about the dreaded overwhelm that can happen in the coaching and mentor business industry. Because when you're a coach or a mentor, when it comes to business, the business end of things is supposed to be about taking care of business, right? The thing about having a mentor or a coaching business is that there are so many more moving pieces that actually go on than it looks like from in front of the screen. When you're watching me, when you're watching other people and they are doing their business promotions, they're doing videos like this one, they're doing their posting, they're doing their enrollment cycles, they're doing their promotions, their content creation and things like this. It looks pretty simple, doesn't it? Like, oh, you're just filming a video. Oh, okay. Well, not really. So I wanted to film this today to start basically opening up the conversation around, what are these biggest problems that coaches and mentors have when it comes to building their business. Because one of the things that I have been hearing so much feedback about lately has really just been this overwhelm that's happening in the coaching and mentor business industry. And, I really feel like there are a multitude of reasons as to why this overwhelm happens. And I think that from a top level down perspective, right? If we kind of look at it that way, one of the things that can really happen when it comes to feeling overwhelmed in your coaching or mentor business is that when you're watching people that make it all seem so easy that it can be done in like 5 minutes or something, it's one of those things that is unfortunate. But a lot of people that are trainers in the mentor or coaching business industry are not actually teachers. And I'm a professor of marketing. I've been a professor for over 20 years now. I'm also an advertising agency executive and have been for over 25 years now. So when it comes to teaching, when it comes to breaking down complex topics and making them clear, concise, and easy to understand, I've been doing that for over 20 years myself. So when it comes to, when you're looking at your business, right, and you are wanting to do training, right? Let's say you're wanting to learn, and look at like what are some ways that you can enhance your business, get more clients, things like this, right? Well, the thing about it is that if you're taking training from somebody who kind of teaches at such an overwhelming level that it's hard to understand, that right there could be a reason that you're feeling overwhelmed. Another reason that you might be feeling overwhelmed could be that you're trying to do too many what I call tactics rather than coming from an overall arching strategy perspective. So there's a huge difference between just doing tactics and really having an umbrella strategy that ties together and weaves together all of the tactics. And most people are not talking about this in the mentor business industry. It's one of those dirty little secrets because most people are out there kind of making it sound like all you need to do is do one more weird trick, right? And in 30 minutes you're going to be a gazillionaire. Well, I've been a business mentor to the celebrities for over 25 years, and you know what? I have never seen that work. I have never seen that be the case. And oftentimes, when it comes to building your business, if you are trying to constantly use Band-Aids, okay, to build a infrastructure of a business, it's going to be like a house of cards, and it's going to fall apart at some point in time, It is one of those things that when it comes to building your business, doing it from a strategy perspective and a top-down perspective is really the way that you're going to get traction in your business. can tell I know a thing or two about this because I've literally been a business mentor to celebrities and Fortune 500 companies and more for over 25 years. So I'll go into my background here just a little bit in case you are just being introduced to my work. So my name is JD WildFlower, aka WildFlower in the musical world. I am known as the Celebrity Empire Builder because I have been helping celebrities build brand and launch their businesses for over 2 decades as an advertising agency executive and a celebrity branding and business development consultant, as well as business mentor. So my client list includes Academy and Grammy winners, New York Times best-selling authors, and over 50 other brands, including Samsung, Dish Network, U.S. Bank, Toro, Polaris, ADT, and way too many more to mention right now. But basically, I have been a business mentor for over 25 years, and as well as an advertising agency executive. So when it comes to building a business as a coach or a mentor, well, I know a thing or two about it because that is how I have built my business and what I've been doing for over 25 years. I also became a professor of marketing in 2001. I used to a professor of marketing as well as business development, and I used to teach at Brown College in Minneapolis, Minnesota, as well as at a Metropolitan Learning Alliance, where I was the program director of the visual communications department and adjunct professor for over 4 years in the early 2000s. That is a school that's connected with St. Thomas College, and it's at the Mall of America. Yes, there is a college at the Mall of America, in case you didn't know. So I live in Minneapolis and Las Vegas. I go back and forth between my houses in both locations because I work with a lot of the conferences, and we're also filming my Mentors Tank TV show in Las Vegas as well. So this is just a little bit of background to kind of, let you know that when it comes to building a coaching or a mentor business, well, this is my jam. This is what I've been doing for over 25 years. And because I'm a professor of marketing, I'm really able to look at things from a very strategic perspective as well as a tactical perspective. And one of the reasons that I decided to actually open my own business school, VIP Global Business Institute is my main business school. Mentors Tank Academy is a division of my business school of VIP Global Business Institute as well. So I'll get a little bit more into what we're doing at Mentors Tank Academy and Mentors Tank TV. Basically, I am filming the transformation, the business transformation that my clients go through when they're working with me at Mentors Tank Academy for my new TV show called Mentors Tank, where I am featuring today's up-and-coming mentors and helping them become industry celebrities. Now, to me, celebrity is a business term. It's not an ego term. So when it comes to really working at building your business and looking at how to make it happen, well, the thing is that there are some very strategic ways that you can do that. And when it comes to, putting yourself out there as an expert, celebrity to me is one of the most effective and efficient ways of really creating industry credibility and just getting the word out about what you do. And again, to me, celebrity is a business term. It's not an ego term. All it means is that a lot of people know about your business. And the thing is that we want the right people to know about your business, right? We want the people to know about your business that you can actually help in business. So when it comes to, what might be overwhelming you in your coaching or mentor business, well, I've created a list here because I have been talking with so many people these days about, what's been stressing them out about their mentor businesses because, there's just so many different moving pieces that can actually happen, and when you have a business that has a lot of moving pieces without a very specific dialed in strategy, then something that can happen is this thing we call overwhelm. So just to give you a little clue here about myself, I am no stranger to overwhelm and burnout. I actually went through a major burnout in 2012 after about 15 years as an entrepreneur. And I took about 6 months off and really, dove into what got me into overwhelm in the first place and what was going to get me out of it. Because I had gone through some mini overwhelm, burnout kind of things before that point. And I didn't learn the lesson as well as I should have. So in 2012, I went through the major burnout. And when the reason that I took 6 months to really, deconstruct what happened with that is because I knew that if I didn't understand exactly what it was that got me into burnout in the first place, it was just going to happen again. And at that point in time, I had already been a celebrity business mentor and branding specialist for over 15 years. And one of the things about it for me is that I wasn't having that much time leverage in my business because I was mostly doing marketing and business development consulting in a one-on-one capacity with celebrities and with Fortune 500 companies. Now, as you can imagine, that's not really a time leveraging kind of a thing because that's a one-on-one service type of a thing. So actually in 2014, I decided to launch my business training institute so that I could have my own college and to really be able to teach entrepreneurs. And, I really decided to go into the specialty of working with coaches and mentors and Open Mentors Tank Academy because I believe that coaches and mentors have a very important mission, and that is a mission of transformation and inspiration. And so I'm on a mission personally to reach over 1 billion people around the world to raise the vibration of planet Earth and make this world be a better place for our kids to live in as well as future generations to live in. And frankly, the fastest and easiest way for me to do this is not only through the work of myself, but also through the work of my clients as well, by helping my clients to really elevate and platform themselves as industry celebrities so that they can, really get the message out to more and more people. Because let's face it, coaches and mentors are, all about helping to make people's lives and businesses better. And to me, that's a very important mission. And when you are on a powerful mission like that and you have, such a wide capacity for really, reaching millions of people out in the world, well, the thing is I've been doing this for over 25 years myself. And so that's why I opened Mentors Tank Academy to really teach today's up and coming coaches and mentors how to really create celebrity status in their own niche industry, as well as to scale their business to 7 or 8 figures. Now, I say 7 or 8 figures because the same tactics are true and strategy is true for 8 figures as well as 7. However, if you want to go 8, you're going to need more staff and, you have some more moving pieces going on and stuff like that. But I teach the strategies and the tactics for going to either of those directions. So some of my clients are already, working in the 7-figure range of things. Some of my clients are 8-figure earners, and they really just want a smarter way to work so that they don't get into burnout. So what got me into burnout after I finally deconstructed, right, like what happened to me, why I got into burnout in the first place, and what I could do about it, was that there were 2 things that I had wonky that were going on. Okay, the first thing is that I had a broken business model. Like I mentioned, my business model at the time was based on, one-on-one consulting work that I was doing with celebrities, with my celebrity clients or my Fortune 500 company clients. And so, as you can imagine, without any time leverage, after 15 years of being an entrepreneur, that was one thing right there. So I had a broken business model because I had no time leveraging going on. And I also had a broken business mindset. Yes, a broken business mindset. What's a broken business mindset? Okay. So, the hustle mentality, have you heard about this? Where it's just like going, like constant, 24/7, like, right? Like it's just, there are some people that are so into this hustle mode thing. And you know what? I kind of was for a while. You know, for me, I always strove for having that balance. But the thing is that when you have a burnout business model, which is what I had, it was hard to have a business mindset that actually worked for me and not against me. Because when you have a broken business model and you don't have any time leverage built in, then what happens is it kind of creates this broken business mindset, because the way to success through a broken business model is by essentially diving deeper and deeper into hustle mode. And I made a decision back in 2012 when I recovered from my burnout to do two things. Number one, create a time leveraging business, and that's why I started going into business training, because you know, this is something where I can teach many of my clients at once. I do have one-on-one programs for a very small amount of my clients that I work with. And I create my programs to be actually very small right now intentionally, because I have a high touch type of program that we have going on at Mentors Tank Academy. So I don't work with everyone, and everybody's not a fit for what I do. But you know, what I do is really help people go global in a bigger way than they've been before. Some of my clients are already existing celebrities that are simply transitioning their business from whatever they've been doing, whether it be in the mentor world, music world, acting world, author world, or speaking world, to having global celebrity mentor empires. And some of my clients are, you know, unknown. They are best kept secret in their universe, and I'm helping them to really elevate. So when it comes to building a mentor business that works for you and not against you, here's the thing. You need to have a business mindset that works with a business model. So I like to start with the business model first, because you know, we can't really, it's hard to fix the business mindset until we can look at having a business model that works. So business model, time leveraging. When you have time leveraging built into your business, then it can work for you and not against you. So that's the first part right there. So we're going to be diving into that a little bit. And I'm also going to get to our top 10 list of things that make coaches and mentors overwhelmed in their business. So in terms of the mindset, I'm just going to approach this really briefly here. Now, a lot of people talk about mindset, right? But when it comes to business, I find that just kind of I find that there's a lot of willy-nilly approach to mindset in business. What I mean by this is that, you know, there's all this positive motivation stuff, right? Like you can go to any video on YouTube and you can get like this motivation and coaching kind of thing and have somebody like talk you up, right? Into like all these reasons why you should be super excited all the time. And it's like, okay, well, great, but how does that apply to my coaching or mentor business is what my clients are saying, right? So I like to, when I'm approaching business mindset, I like to approach it from a very practical perspective, because I don't think that everybody needs cheerleading sessions like all the time. Because if you have too much of this rah cheerleading type of mentality going on in your business, what's going to happen is you're going to trick your dopamine to stop working for you. I'm going to say this one more time, because a lot of people online these days are really using their dopamine centers the wrong way, their dopamine production centers. Now, when it comes to business, as an entrepreneur, you need to be self-motivated to a certain extent. You can tell I've been doing this a long time, right? I've been an entrepreneur for over 26 years at this point myself. And the thing is that, you know, sure, you go through ups and downs, but at the core, you need to have entrepreneurial DNA to make it as a coach or a mentor, because it's a business. It's not like this business in a box kind of thing, like so many people try to like, you know, put out there in the world, and make it kind of sound like it's something that you should be able to, you know, like do and take care of in like, you know, 5 minutes flat kind of thing, right? Well, that can happen out there. These people, it's just kind of, it's interesting. I'm not going to get to that part right now. But when it comes to mindset, remember how I said that I used to be in this hustle mode? Well, I was one of the very first Entrepreneurs Online, actually. My company, VIP Global Media, which I started in 1997 as a full-service advertising agency, was one of the very first advertising agencies in the country, in the entire United States, that provided website development and digital marketing services. So my company was actually one of the very first web development firms in the country. Back in 1997, because I had a vision that this whole interwebs thing was going to take off. People thought I was crazy. They thought I was this dumb blonde little girl who was just like, oh, well, this internet thing. They were calling it the net back then. And I even went to the school I was at. I was actually at Brown College at the time, in their advertising department, in advertising school. And I went to the administration one day and I said to them, hey guys, I thought you guys were going to like add more digital marketing, and at the time Photoshop was brand new, Photoshop classes and web development stuff. And they said, yes, they thought about it, but they decided not to do it because they thought that the net, as it was called at the time, was a fad. And that this fad was going to be something that was only going to be used by libraries and the military. Okay, this was back in 1996. This was at a college that I went to for advertising school. And so, they kind of looked at me like I was a little cray-cray, and they were like, yeah, this is just a fad. It's just a fad. It's going to go away. It's just for libraries and military, and it's not for like everyday use. And how are you listening to me or watching me right now? Okay, so the net, it's a thing, right? When it comes to building a business, that entrepreneurial DNA, yes, so strong. And when you have it, you do what it takes to get ahead, right? The thing is that as an entrepreneur, we need to balance our entrepreneurial pursuits with our life and with our responsibilities, with our family responsibilities and everything. So what I did was I ditched the hustle mode for what I call the heart and highway mode. What's heart and highway mode? You might ask. So heart and highway mode, as I define it, is it's a different way of looking at having a business. It's a different type of mentality for entrepreneurs to really embrace, and a different kind of mindset when it comes to business productivity for entrepreneurs. Heart and highway mode is this. Number one, first step, you need to be connected from your heart center and an energetic alignment with what you're doing professionally. Why? Because if you're not, you're going to self-sabotage. That's how it works. Okay? For instance, if you're choosing a target audience to work with, but you really don't want to work with them as a coach or a mentor, are you kidding me? How much do you think your subconscious is going to self-sabotage your efforts if you are trying to attract a target audience of people that either you don't like working with or that maybe they trigger your trauma? Okay, one of my clients, Mary Huang, who is one of our cast members and students here at Mentors Tank Academy and TV, she actually came to us as a divorce coach, okay? And through her process, you're going to see this unfolding, her entire transformation unfolding on Mentors Tank TV as we launch it here soon. You're going to see her entire transformation and what she went through with realizing, because it was working with me and the concepts and where I take people, because it's about really getting clear on the inside of yourself as an entrepreneur. Because when you're clear, when you have clarity and you have clear direction on where you can take things, that's when we can like really hit the ground running. So in her, when she started working with me, she was a divorce coach, and it was through working with me and the questions I was asking her and kind of the journey I was leading her on that she realized that she actually was, self-sabotaging subconsciously because she really wanted to move forward in her life, because she at one point had gotten divorced. And what was happening is that these clients she was attracting were just kind of triggering this trauma that she had felt that she had already healed from. And so she didn't want to keep digging into that every single week in her business. So that was one of those reasons that she really transformed her business to now helping be a legacy architect. And now she's known as America's Legacy Architect. So that's just a quick example of why you need to be aligned in your heart center and aligned energetically and ethically with with the business that you have and the kinds of clients that you want to attract. Because if you're in a place where working with the ideal clients that you've selected is either not going to be enjoyable for you, or it's going to trigger some kind of trauma, or it's just going to be kind of like too many moving pieces or things that are just going to not be working for you, then you're going to self-sabotage, and it's going to be a lot harder for you in business. So yes, I'm excited for everybody to see Mary's transformation on Mentors Tank TV, as we are going to be airing things here soon. So that's one example. So you need to be, number one, heart and highway mode is first and foremost about being energetically aligned and aligned to your heart center. Now, I'm not sitting here, I am a professor and I'm an advertising agency executive. I'm also into woo-woo because I'm a natural born psychic medium. But guess what? I'm all about practical magic. I'm not sitting here saying that everybody's supposed to sit there and meditate and just create vision boards all day long and that's going to make themselves successful and that's going to get them clients. There is a time and place for that, so when it comes to being connected to your heart center, energetically aligned with your ideal clients, as well as what you're teaching, as well as the mechanics of your business, I definitely believe in that energy of the metaphysical, attracting. I believe in the law of attraction a little bit differently. I'll do another class on that if people are interested, in the future. I'm much more of a practical magic, law of practical magic kind of a person when it comes to teaching about manifestation than I am, sitting in a, dark room meditating for 1,000 years. Because there's a practical approach and there's a magical approach as well to business, and energetically being aligned is one of those things. So when it comes to mindset, heart and highway mode is number one, first and foremost, being connected in your heart center to your business. Number two, highway mode. Why do we call this heart and highway mode? Heart, because you need to be connected in your heart center to what you're doing. Otherwise, your energy is not going to be in it. And you know who you are if this is part of your issue. You might not know the solution, but in business, if you're not honest with yourself as an entrepreneur, and it's going to hold you back. Point blank, it's going to hold you back if you're not honest with yourself as an entrepreneur. So if you've not been honest with yourself as a coach or a mentor in your business about what's working for you, what's not working for you, right now I invite you to be honest with yourself, because you can't fool yourself. If you're doing something in your business that's not aligned with your heart center anymore, there's going to be ramifications for that in the future if you don't address these things now. This is one of the reasons that coaches and mentors can really be overwhelmed as well. So when it comes to the highway mode aspect of things, well, let's see. Heart is connected to the heart center. Pretty straightforward. Highway mode. Now, highway mode is this. As an entrepreneur, there are times that we go through cycles. When we're going through development cycles as entrepreneurs, we are putting more energy in, right? We're putting more gas in. It takes more time. To deny that, which is what so many of these so-called coaching training mentors and teachers are doing these days online, to deny that it's going to take you more time while you're building your business, it's just untrue. That's not how it works. It does take you more time while you're in a development phase, and this is what I call highway mode. So when you're about to get on a highway or a freeway, you're in a vehicle, you're putting in more gas, right? You're accelerating because you're trying to get to the point where you can, get on the freeway, get on the highway, right? So you put in more gas. This is putting in some more time while you're in a development phase. As an entrepreneur, you put in more gas, then you find your lane, drive through the city, you drive through wherever, right? And then eventually you can get to a country road where you can set the cruise control for a while. This is called time leveraging. Now, in a business, there is no such thing as passive income unless you're investing. So if you have a business in some way, as a coach or a mentor, totally passive income as a coach or a mentor does not exist. I have been a business mentor for over 25 years. If you have questions about this, let me know. But it does not exist. There's a lot of people out there that want to try to make you think that it does exist. It doesn't exist, because there's always some kind of fulfillment that you need to be doing, or customer service that you need to be doing. And a lot of what people are doing as these so-called coaching funnels these days, are very convoluted ways of lead generation that are not as they're just not as straightforward how a lot of people are teaching them. But that's one of the reasons that people can get into burnout as well. So when it comes to heart and highway mode, let's face it, it takes more energy while you're building an aspect of your business, right? But then you can eventually kind of go on cruise control. Now, cruise control, you're still paying attention to the road. You're still, alert and aware of what's going on, but you don't have to work as hard, and you can have some more time leverage built in, okay? So you can, that's the reason I really call it heart and highway mode. I ditched the hustle mode for the heart and highway mode, because heart and highway mode is far more of what it's like to actually be an entrepreneur and to be really working at building your coaching or mentor business. So heart and highway mode is the best way to really be aligned, in your business for success. So let's see here. I've got my top 10 list here handy, and I am gonna grab it here. Let me see. Get my top 10 list here going on. And so when it comes to the biggest reasons that entrepreneurs in the coaching and mentor business get overwhelmed, the first reason is, I've got my top 10 list here. The first reason the biggest 10 reasons that coaches and mentors get overwhelmed in their coaching and mentor business is that number one, they're trying to do too much at once. Trying to do too much at once. Wow. Yeah. I mean, let's face it. There are so many things that are out there that are online. There are so many people that are training different tactics. Tactics are different than strategy. Tactics are, this is a video, that's a tactic, right? So this is a tactic that is part of a whole entire universe of strategy. This is just one little video. And one of the things that you're seeing in this day and age in the coaching and mentor training world is you're seeing a lot of people teach tactics as though they are the solution to having a functional coaching or mentor business. However, tactics are part of a solution. Tactics can be part of a solution, but tactics themselves are not the overall solution. If tactics themselves were the overall solution, nobody would need training, okay? What you need is strategy. You need an overall strategy that guides your tactics. And so many mentors and coaches are trying to do too much at once. They're trying to level up in too many areas at once, or write too much content at once. They're trying, here is what the average coach and mentor is saying to themselves these days. Okay, just bear with me here. So many coaches and mentors these days are saying, they're asking the questions: should I go on LinkedIn? Should I do audio on LinkedIn? Should I do video on LinkedIn? Should I go on Twitter? Should I go on IG? Should I do reels? How long should they be? What should I talk about? Should I do posting on Facebook, on TikTok? What kind of posts should they be? How long should they be? What kinds of content should I have on them? What kinds of trigger words should I use? Should I use Facebook groups? Should I not use Facebook groups? Should I go do Facebook ads? Should I do Twitter ads? Should I do what, right? All of these things are tactics. They are not strategy. Strategy is what guides your tactics. It's like a vehicle, okay? So, to use the heart and highway mode analogy a little bit more. You want to get in your vehicle, you're going from point A to point B, right? Let's say I'm going from Minneapolis to Las Vegas, and I pop it into the map thing. I am old school. I used to say MapQuest, and now I have evolved it, so it is now Google Maps. Anyway, I've been doing this a long time, so yes, when I started doing this, we talked about MapQuest, for those of you who remember that. So anyway, if that's point A to point B, right? We're going to pop it into the GPS. That's what we can call it. Pop it into the GPS, what the route is, right? And I've got the vehicle, so my Jeep, I'm a Jeep girl. I love my Jeep Grand Cherokees. When I was a teenager, I remember being on the school bus, going to Central High School in St. Paul, Minnesota, and seeing the Grand Cherokees, and I said, one day I'm going to have my own. And so I do. Actually have a couple of them at this point. So, and I will do a manifestation class for those who are interested. If I get enough interest, I'll talk to you about my way of manifestation, which is about practical magic, not just all the airy-fairy woo-woo meditate and make vision boards until you can't stand them anymore. Okay. Anyway, so that's for that. So point A to point B, entrepreneurs and mentors trying to do too much. This is our number one reason that we're our topic number one here that we're working with today. So if I want to go from Minneapolis to Las Vegas, I'm going to type it into the GPS, and I'm going to drive there in my, I'm either going to fly, or I'm going to drive in my Jeep Grand Cherokee. Probably going to fly, but for this reason, we're going to go with the driving. Now, the vehicle itself and driving it is a tactic that's getting me from point A to point B, or flying there, okay? Going to the airport, that's a tactic getting there from point A to point B. But I require the strategy, which is what the GPS tells me. Okay, the strategy itself is going to say, okay, these are the roads to take your vehicle and get there, or these are the air routes to take to get, on the plane, that they show the captain, because they don't really show that, that to you, except on Delta. They actually will show you on the screens in front of you, like where you're at. It's pretty cool. So GPS is like the strategy, whereas the vehicle or the airplane is the tactic and how you're getting there, okay? But the strategy, in the GPS, you could get there any number of different ways. It'll actually show you can get there by train. You can even get there by walking. It'll probably take you about 1,000 years, but you can do it. So it'll show you all these different ways and all these different routes, right? But that's the beauty of the GPS. The GPS is the strategy, and the route and the actual vehicle that you take or method that you take is a tactic. Now, one of the biggest problems that's going on in the coaching and mentor business today is that people are out there teaching it as though their tactic is the holy grail, right? They're like, oh, use this Jeep to drive from Minneapolis to Las Vegas. Oh, use this route, use this, fancy extraterrestrial UFO looking thing to get from Minneapolis to Las Vegas. I am watching Roswell right now, so I have sci-fi on the brain. So, it's about UFOs found in Roswell, that kind of thing. So, but basically you could take any number of routes to get from point A to point B, right? The point is that you're looking for success in your business. Okay. And the reason that so many mentors and coaches these days are doing too much is that they are looking at doing the tactics as if it is the strategy. But it's not the strategy. These are two separate things. And see, when you have a bunch of people out in the interwebs teaching business like they know what they're talking about, it's unfortunate because they're not breaking this down. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm doing this video. This is why I do this training. This is why I started my business training institute for coaches and mentors. Because coaches and mentors are on a mission to transform people's lives and businesses for the better. And when you have a really complicated business model and business strategy and you're being overwhelmed and overloaded by tactic after tactic after tactic, right? How are you supposed to actually reach your ideal targets? How are you supposed to actually help the people that you're going to help, right? That's why I'm doing this, because I'm kind of a super business geek. You know, I am. I like live, eat, sleep, and breathe business. Like, I love business because I believe that entrepreneurialism is the ultimate form of self-empowerment. Because when you are an entrepreneur, you get to, you know, be in charge of your destiny, your financial future, your time, you know, how you spend your time, and how you are there to provide for your family, and how you're there to spend time with your family, right? To me, that's the ultimate form of self-empowerment that goes above and beyond sitting around and having a 9-to-5 job and making vision boards, wishing that you were a successful coach, right? That's not what we do here at Mentors Tank Academy. At Mentors Tank Academy, this is about a very practical approach, magical as well, because you need to be connected in your heart center as well as energetically aligned. But, you know, it needs to all be based on a very practical approach to creating success in your business. And most people out there are not breaking down this whole strategy versus tactics thing because they don't want you to know that they're just teaching a tactic and not the overall strategy. Because most people out there are teaching just the tactics and not the strategy. The reason I have a very high touch program is because I am personally helping each one of my clients to really create success in their business. So I keep my programs intentionally small right now. We're going to be doing some public launches out in the future for my Star Power Bootcamp and some different types of celebrity creation programs that I have. But for Mentors Tank Academy, I've got a 12-week program called Empire Builder, and that right now, it's something you can't buy online. It's not something you can go click a button and get into. It's an application process only, and that's because for me, it's about working with people who I feel like I can really help, and in a very high touch way to really help them build what I call mentor empires. Because when you're focused on building an empire, you know, that's different than just building a coaching business. With just a coaching business, you know, there's like 1,000 moving pieces that can go on, or it's very disjointed and lots of different things going on. But with a mentor empire, you can do it. A mentor empire, the biggest difference is that it has room for growth. And with a mentor empire, you can have, you know, time leveraging group coaching and training programs. My specialty is actually teaching people how to develop ultra high-end signature programs that command $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 plus per person, so that you can create your own high-touch programs and have that be what I call the main course of your business that really helps you to monetize and quickly to be able to scale your business. You know, and to, if you're going to do any kind of offers that are lower than that, to have them, you know, be very strategically done. So the first thing about, you know, the first reason that, you know, so many coaches and mentors are overwhelmed in their business these days is because they're trying to do too much at once, and because they don't have. And they're trying to do too much at once because they don't have an overall arching strategy that's guiding their tactics, okay? So the second reason that most coaches and mentors get overwhelmed in their business is they're doing things in the wrong sequence. Yes, the wrong sequence. How could that make any sense at all? And is anybody talking about this online? Well, I am. And I also forgot to mention that actually, I know I'm out there technically as the Celebrity Empire Builder, as my moniker, but my clients also affectionately call me the Business GPS, because I help them to really strategize and look at, like, what makes sense with room for growth. Because when I'm looking at business strategy for my clients, I'm looking at the next 25 to 50 to 100 years for their business. I'm not just looking at tomorrow or next month. Yes, I am looking at tomorrow or next month, but that's the reason I've been working with the celebrities for, all these years, because it's about a lifelong business. It really is. It's not just about a flash in a pan, kind of like how to get as much success in 5 minutes as possible. Seriously, I'm a professor, and when it comes to business development, we want to look at long-term growth. We want to look at short-term growth as well as long-term growth. So the second reason that most coaches and coaches and mentors get overwhelmed and stressed in their business is because they're doing things in the wrong sequence. Here's an example. So many people are out there these days without what I call a celebrity style personal brand. So one of the things that I teach is celebrity style personal branding. What is this, and what does it have to do with anything? Very briefly here, because this is a very in-depth topic and one of my specialties, but very briefly here, celebrity is connected to evolutionary psychology, because when it comes to evolutionary psychology, which is the study of humans that evolved, evolutionary psychology says pay attention to leaders. Why? Because leaders can tell you where food, shelter, water, and news is. Food, shelter, water, and news. Why news? Because if an elephant is like a mile away from the village and there's a danger that the elephant is going to infiltrate the village, the brain is hardwired to pay attention to what's new, hence why they call it the news or newspaper, because it's a danger type of automatic response. So celebrities in this day and age are seen as industry leaders. Okay, so when people are doing things in the wrong sequence, this is one of those ways that people are doing things in the wrong sequence. I recently had someone reach out to me and they said, oh, they just need more eyeballs on their webpage. This is an affectionate term we use in the advertising industry to call, this is what they call it, eyeballs on it, right? So she just said, oh, we need to get more people. There's just not enough people seeing it. And I said, well, that's not your issue. She's like, well, of course it is. She said she wasn't getting enough clients, so she just needed more eyeballs on her website. I said, that's not your main issue. And she didn't understand this, so I broke it down. And so I said, look, we could get you 1 million people a day coming to your website and seeing your coaching services, but until you have two things, a celebrity style personal brand that's dialed in to connect directly to your ideal target audience, that lets them know how you are the person to help them. Okay, until you have that, it's not going to matter how many people get on your page. Because and this is one of the biggest mistakes that people are making, that coaches and mentors are making, is that they just are out there selling services rather than solutions. And how do you sell solutions? Well, this is a very in-depth conversation. Most people are out there making it look like, if you take 30 minutes and focus on what your solution is, then that's it. That's not it. Are you kidding me? I've been a business mentor for over 25 years. That's not it. That's not how it works. How it works is that you start with something and you think it through, and you really dive into the tactics, the strategy, understanding your target audience from what I call the emotional perspective. So I work with what I call the EQ avatar. That's what I help my clients to understand, is their EQ avatar. So that's the emotional intelligence of their ideal client. So when you are trying to do things in the wrong sequence, one of the ways that this can happen is that people can be out there even pitching their, even if they're pitching solutions, if they don't have a dialed in celebrity style personal brand that positions them as the industry expert at what they do, then it might not convert. And so when we do things in a coaching or mentor business, we want to do things in the right sequence so that you have things lined up in a very strategic way so that it works for you in your business, not against you. So the second reason that most coaches and mentors get burnt out is doing things in the wrong sequence. Now, the third reason that coaches and mentors get burnt out in their business and overwhelmed is that they do not have an ultra high-end $25,000 plus program to sell out in the world. And they are trying to piece together their income from either low-end offers of, like, maybe they have a $47 program, or they're trying to do a $47 club, or they see the big guys out there going, oh, here's a $47 offer, and they're trying to do that, or they're either doing that, or they're doing what I call the mid-tier, which is like the $2,000 offer, things like that, right? And they're trying to piece it together. The thing is that if you're trying to build a lasting business with just those rates, well, you have to have volume, right, in order for it to make sense, because there's a lot more moving pieces that go on in a coaching and mentor business than it looks like from the outside. From the outside, you're just seeing the very tip of the iceberg, right? But what actually goes on to make things happen is a lot more complex. So the third biggest reason that coaches and mentors are burnt out in today's world is they don't have an ultra high-end offer of $20K plus. So $20K, $25K, $50K, $100K plus allows you to take the time to create VIP and personalized solutions for your clients, and it allows you to give them more of what I call a high touch program. And this is about having a signature program that's designed to really create solutions for your ideal clients, rather than just selling them services, okay? So the fourth reason that coaches and mentors are overwhelmed is that they are trying to overhaul everything in their business rather than going in and looking at what might need just some slight tweaks. And this is also connected to staying the course, okay? So sometimes there are things that you need to test oftentimes there's things you need to test in your business. I'm a huge fan of testing because I'm from the marketing world. In marketing, we do a little thing we call testing and, a concept to see if it works, okay? This is not about like coming out of the gate with just like such steadfastness that you're just so, where you get disappointed if it doesn't work. This is my point around this, okay? I love being excited about business. I love being passionate. And at the same time, when we're creating different elements of a coaching and mentor business, it's about testing things out, number one, and then testing things out in different applications. For instance, what works on LinkedIn works differently on Facebook. What works on Facebook works differently on IG. What works on IG works differently on TikTok. And I've been doing this game, a long time, so I have a lot of familiarity with the different platforms, the different applications, as well as the different target audiences that engage on the different platforms, and how they engage with them, and what types of services as a coach or a mentor should you be trying to pitch on LinkedIn versus Facebook versus TikTok or IG or Twitter or other places. So sometimes what you need is subtle small tweaks to what you're already doing, but those subtle small tweaks could be 7 or 8 figure decisions, okay? So one of the problems, the fourth biggest reason that coaches and mentors get overwhelmed in their business is that they're trying to overhaul everything all at once rather than, number one, testing to see what's actually working and what's not. Or sometimes there's just areas where you need to make small, subtle tweaks. And this also relates to number 2, doing things in the wrong sequence, because sometimes what you need to do is make significant tweaks. Sometimes you do need to overhaul everything, right? But you can't do it all at once. What you can do, though, is start with start with the first step, then go to step 2, then go to step 3, and break it down. And so sometimes what you need to do is make small, subtle tweaks to one little area, let's say step 3, while going to step 1, which to me is always the celebrity style personal brand. Because if you don't have a celebrity style personal brand, then how are your ideal clients supposed to know that you are the go-to expert to help them? Okay? And so when it comes to number 4, if you're overhauling everything, then that might, that is something that can really burn you out as well. So the 5th reason that coaches and mentors get burnt out and get overwhelmed in their business is that they are focusing on micro when they should be focused on macro. What does this mean? So, or vice versa. This can also be vice versa. Sometimes you need to focus on macro, which is, overhauling some really significant pieces in your business. And sometimes you need to be focused on micro, which I see micro as micro and macro can relate to anything and anywhere. Let's look at an example of social media. Let's say that you are working at creating some live videos, okay? So let's say, or recorded videos. Let's say you're working at creating some content creation campaigns, right? So let's say you focus on the micro with that, and you really start in-depthly writing, okay? Now, if you're in a place right now where you can take some more time, where you're from a profit center perspective, you've got things going on, and so you can take some more time to really work with creating some content, and you can take more time with it. Wonderful. You can afford to just go micro and really work on that content, for a week or 2, however long it takes to make it, right? Now, at the same time, if you are, getting people that are already booking calls to enroll with you to have a conversation about how to work with you as a coach or a mentor, and instead of doing those calls, you're like over here focused on making more content to get other people to book calls. This is that's focusing too micro on what you need to actually focus macro on. So for instance, if you have a month going on where you've got enrollment calls that are already happening, but you want to create new content for next month, then that's a reason right there to kind of go a little bit macro and go a little more broad when you're creating your content, so that you're not taking too long on it. Okay? You're not going to hear this from anybody else. Why? Because this is not a cookie cutter thing, what I'm teaching right here. This is a customized type of thing. This is about how all of this applies to your business, and I'm teaching you not only strategy and tactics, but I'm teaching you critical thinking skills that are necessary for you to have as a coach or mentor. Because when you understand how you need to think about building your coaching or mentor business, then you are actually understanding why it is that you're doing what you're doing. You see, most coaches and mentors out there that are doing trainings these days, they're just kind of blindly following along because they think they need to. Somebody told them they need to be on TikTok, so they're on TikTok. And I might look at their brand and be like, why are you on TikTok? Your audience is not on TikTok. Why are you doing that? And see, for me, I'm not an evangelist when it comes to business tactics or business strategies, because I believe that as a business owner, you need to follow what works for you, because that's how you connect to heart and highway mode. And there are certain things that when you go micro, you're in a macro phase in your business where you need to focus on some overall arching things, right? Rather than like diving into TikTok. I love TikTok for what it's good for. I love all the different social platforms for what they're good for. LinkedIn, hey, LinkedIn is my jam. I'm in the top 1% of all profiles viewed worldwide right now on LinkedIn. I have been for the past year, and I've been in the top 5% of all profiles viewed worldwide for the last decade. I'm about longevity in business. And so for me, LinkedIn is my primary, Facebook is a secondary. We also do IG, we also do TikTok, we do Twitch, we do some other things as well as YouTube and other things, but only as they make sense. You see, this is where micro and macro comes in, and this is that fifth reason that most coaches and consultants and mentors just get so overwhelmed by this, is because there are some times where you just need to, go macro and focus on the broad. Sometimes you do need to just go in and first focus on the overall arching strategy before you dig into making the little individual videos or making the individual posts or making the individual things. Okay, so that is number 5, micro versus macro. Now, the sixth reason that coaches and mentors get overwhelmed and burnt out is that they don't have enough industry positioning, aka celebrity style personal brand. Now, I talked about this a little bit earlier when it comes to, well, pretty much everything, because to me, having a celebrity style personal brand is the foundation of the house. I like to come at things from a business development perspective, from what I call a clockwork perspective. Now, when it comes to having a clockwork perspective, so if we look at a clock, let's think about an old-fashioned clock, right? Well, you have the base, right? You have the base that the clock fits on. And so with the base, that's what I see as a celebrity style personal brand in your business. So when you have the celebrity style personal brand, you have positioning. Now, there's two different types of celebrity. One is the household names, which is what most people think about offhand. So this is like Tom Cruise and Oprah. These are called what we call households or household names in the business development advertising world. Oprah, Tom Cruise, even and then there's people that are industry celebrities, which anybody who's in the personal or professional development world has heard of Stephen Covey, author of 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, right? Now, most people aren't necessarily going to recognize him at the grocery store, right? He's not necessarily a household name, but it doesn't matter, because when it comes to business, well, he's got industry positioning. That's what you need. That's what makes a business go, is when you have industry positioning. So some people, and some people kind of have both, and they go in different directions. I mean, Tony Robbins isn't a household name, not at this point. He's been getting a little more, status. He actually did a foreword for my book last year, Cracking the Rich Code. You can check that out. I think it's on my LinkedIn profile if you haven't seen it already. He's becoming more of a household name, but he's not up there with Oprah and Tom Cruise and some of the other household name celebrities. But it doesn't matter, because again, industry celebrity is positioned as an authority leader. Why is this important? Is this trite? Is this some Hollywood red carpet thing? No, it's not. I'm from Minnesota, so Hollywood, Vegas, New York, the glitz and glam, the red carpet, all that. Yeah, that stuff, it's great, right? And then you run your business. Then you run the rest of your business. So the thing is, I am from the Midwest. I'm a Minnesota girl at heart, and I love business strategy and business tactics. And the thing is that what gets you to the red carpet and what those tactics are, well, it all comes down to evolutionary psychology. And evolutionary psychology, remember, says to pay attention to leaders, because why? Because leaders know where food, shelter, water, and news is at, right? That's why celebrities have clout. That's why celebrities are already pre-positioned to have people do what? Pay attention. Paying attention. And attention is the biggest commodity in today's world. And attention is what most coaches and mentors are lacking from their ideal clients. And that's one of the reasons that they get overwhelmed. So the sixth reason that coaches and mentors get overwhelmed in their business is that they don't have positioning. They don't have enough industry positioning, aka a celebrity style personal brand, either in a either in a household name perspective or in an industry celebrity perspective. And the tactics that I teach are actually the same. It's really just a matter of where it is that you want to take it. I'll give you a quick example here so that you there's a lot of people talking, right? I'm grabbing my thing. There's a lot of people talking out there in the world about this kind of stuff, but are they walking that walk? Okay. I decided, so I was behind the scenes for years. I grew up actually in entertainment, and started dancing on stage at age 5. Family's musicians. I'm a musician as well. I'm an EDM vocalist and songwriter. I was actually working towards a collaboration with Prince before he died, and now I spearhead the I Heart Purple Nation movement, which is a positive music association all about helping to bring musicians together around the world to really help raise the vibration on the planet through music. So there was a point in time for several years where I decided I was behind the scenes. I was just working with my celebrity clients, helping them with their business, but I was behind the scenes. And then there became a certain point where I decided, okay, hang on, it's time for me to create more celebrity in my business because it helps me with time leveraging. It's not an ego thing for me. It's just that I'm the best spokesperson for my business, and so are you. So this is when my story was featured on the cover of Women's World magazine. This right here reverses diabetes. This is my story about how I created my own health program that I call Women's Weight Loss Formula to reverse my diabetes and to be able to lose 50 pounds. This is my story right here, 2-page story. As you can see, we actually filmed this in the fall in Minnesota, and have some beautiful colors behind it. So this is a story right here of mine, a media feature. This is another one right here. Women's World liked my story so much that they actually put me in another feature in another magazine. What's this one called? This one is Reverses Diabetes as well. So the tactics that I teach, this is an example of household celebrity status kind of thing that gets created when we have enough of the when we have more of the actual media features and stuff like that. But you know what? Either way, it really works because anything that helps your status in your industry can really help you to attract more clients from your business. So the sixth reason that most coaches and mentors get overwhelmed and burnt out is that they don't have enough celebrity positioning within their niche industry to really attract clients and create conversions. Very interesting thing to note about this is that just because somebody has celebrity doesn't mean they're making money. I have a joke about so here's a joke about that I say. If you take a Grammy credit and a Grammy Award winning credit and $7, you can go to Starbucks and get yourself a cup of coffee because they don't have a Grammy card. They don't. They don't have a little card you can bring to the grocery store where it says that you won a Grammy. That doesn't make you money automatically. What makes you money is how you apply what you have, the street cred. I call it street cred. It's professional credibility, aka street cred in my slang world, because I think and eat and breathe business again. So anyway, when you have, so some people have celebrity, and I've worked with several clients throughout the years where they weren't monetizing from that celebrity. So when the celebrity when you have a celebrity style personal brand, what that means for me is having a celebrity style personal brand that's geared towards letting your ideal client, as a coach or mentor, letting your ideal client know that you are the right person for them to help solve their issues. So this takes work, even for regardless of where you're at with celebrity. Because, for example, if somebody's a musician and they're like working at breaking into a speaking career or breaking into being a mentor, because even if you have 25 platinum records, it may or may not be making you as much money in this day and age. So you might want to so that person might want to elevate their career and evolve it. Well, if they're only known as a musician, how do they then get known as a speaker? How do they then get known as a mentor with online training, group training programs? That is creating a celebrity style brand that's geared around very specifically letting their ideal clients know that they are the person to help them. So that's something right there to really keep in mind about celebrity positioning, is that you might already have some positioning as a celebrity. Heck, you might be a household name, right? Some of my clients are. But if you're a household name for being an actor on a TV show or an actor in a movie, and you're not a household name for having group coaching or training programs and things dialed in, then what you have is a disjointed personal brand. So what's a personal brand? I get this question all the time. A personal brand is anything and everything that represents you as a person or a professional. Anything online, anything offline. So celebrity style personal branding is one of my specialties, because I've been helping A-list celebrities and more for over 25 years really create traction within their personal branding as well as their business. And so the sixth reason that coaches and mentors get burnt out is that they don't have enough industry positioning or a celebrity style personal brand that's built around who they are to their ideal clients and how they can help them create solutions. Now, the seventh reason that most coaches and mentors get burnt out and overwhelmed is that they do not have a source of indoctrinations. A source of indoctrinations. What does this mean? Now, when it comes to building your business as a coach or a mentor, people need to understand how it is that you can help them. They need to understand your philosophy. They need to understand what you're all about, right? So this video right here, this is a way that I'm letting you guys know what I'm all about, right? Okay. And because if people see me in the music world, or in different professional worlds that I've been in throughout the years, they might not understand how I'm helping coaches and mentors these days. And I am, just so you know, in case you don't make it to the end of this, I am looking for a few good mentors to work with me at Mentors Tank Academy and become cast members on my TV show, Mentors Tank TV. If you think that you've got what it takes to really go global in your business, I'm looking for people who are really, who are mentors or coaches. So a mentor to me is a coach, consultant, expert, author, speaker, or teacher. And so I've got a video that tells a little bit more, and I'll go more in depth into that at the end of this. But just in case you are curious to see if you're a fit and you don't make it to the end, you can go to mentorstankacademy.com to watch a video. I think it's a 15-minute video that I have where I just break down what I'm looking for and how we have the TV show as a platform that we are using to also help to elevate celebrity status of our clients. So that's mentorstankacademy.com. So the seventh reason that so many coaches and mentors are getting burnt out today is that they don't have a consistent source of indoctrination for their clients to let them know how they help them. Now, when it comes to indoctrination, first of all, what does it mean? It basically means that indoctrination means that you are teaching people what you're all about when it comes to business. Now, I could be sitting here and indoctrinating you about music and what I love about music, what I love about writing music, what I love about the vibration of music, what I'm doing with I Heart Purple Nation, which is carrying on the purple flame that Prince started, all those years ago as a Minnesota girl. I could do that. But guess what? If I sit here and indoctrinate you guys on that, you're not going to understand what I do in the coaching and mentor business world. And so indoctrination is about really teaching people what you're all about when it comes to your specialty in business. Now, interesting, some people are, I think, inappropriately or inaccurately using this whole funnel concept from the info product world in their coaching businesses. So they're like basically like creating these like convoluted like coaching funnels kind of thing. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan because you don't have to have a funnel in order to sell ultra high-end $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 and up programs. You really don't. You don't need anything. You don't need to have funnels. Here's what you do need to have. I'm not going to say you don't need anything, but you don't need anything from like a funnel up perspective. What you need to have is, number one, a celebrity style personal brand that's based on how you help your ideal clients. And then number two, you need to have a clockwork client acquisition system built around, number three, an ultra high-end offer signature program where you're helping people in a VIP or high-touch element kind of a way with creating solutions for them. Okay, so those things are necessary. So when it comes to indoctrination, I'm teaching you guys right now. This video is part of letting you guys know what I'm all about, right? I'm about the heart and highway mode. I'm not about hustle mode. I burnt out many years ago. I'm a real person. I'm not just, I don't just live in the internet. I'm a real person. I have a son. He's known as the Crypto Coyote. His name is Devin. He is brilliant and he is a genius and he is literally so smart that I needed to take him out of school in 7th grade because he started telling the teachers that he was smarter than them, and you could imagine where that was going. So I decided to take him out of school. So I'm a real person and I am a real business owner and I love entrepreneurialism. And so when I'm creating videos and when I'm creating my indoctrination, so to speak, around like what I'm doing at Mentors Tank Academy and Mentors Tank TV, I'm sharing with you guys my philosophy about building a business, right? So this is the number 7 reason that most coaches and mentors are overwhelmed, is because number one, they don't have an indoctrination sequence or series or programs that they're doing. And number two, if they are doing indoctrination, they might be doing it the wrong way, because there's the right way and the wrong way. The wrong way, oh my goodness, I could talk forever about this, but I won't. I will keep this a little smaller. Or because I could do an entire masterclass around how people are teaching the wrong things in their indoctrination. I literally could do an entire masterclass on it. Here's how this looks. This looks like all these people that are out there doing a bunch of how to this, how to that, and they are like going through so much content and they're doing so much action training in their programs that they are actually missing the mark in what they need to be doing in their indoctrination. Indoctrination is where you're letting people understand your philosophy, what you're all about, that you're a real person, that you probably don't live in the internet box or on the phone box or wherever it is people are watching or listening from, right? Letting them know that you're a real person. You see my office behind me. That's my my backdrop for when I'm doing some other videos and stuff as well. So if you're joining me on Facebook live here, then you see that behind me, or watching this as a video. And on LinkedIn, we're doing this as a LinkedIn audio right now as well. So when it comes to your indoctrination sequences and sources, this is about having things be super dialed in to speak directly to your ideal client, okay? And to also let the people who are not your ideal client, let them know that they're not your ideal client, so that you're not wasting your time with, talking with people that aren't your ideal client. So the 7th reason that most coaches and mentors get overwhelmed is that they don't have a proper indoctrination sequence going on in their business. Now, the number 8th reason that coaches and mentors get overwhelmed in their business is they do not have a clockwork style destiny client lead attraction strategy. They don't have a clockwork style destiny client attraction system. This can also be called lead gen or lead generation. Okay, now I like to call it a clockwork system because I believe that as a business, as an entrepreneur, when you have your business dialed into having what I call a clockwork system, you know what to do. It's plug and play every single day of the week. You know what to do in your business to get clients in, okay? So this is about having a clockwork system that's developed so that you understand what work means to you. You see, most coaches and mentors out there these days do not know what work means to them. I mean, they know what it's like to get on calls with clients or do group coaching with clients or to teach programs or film content and stuff like that. But in terms of like an overall strategy, they don't really know what work means to them because there's so many different things that it can mean to them that oftentimes they get really overwhelmed and they kind of wake up on Mondays and it's like throwing a dart at a dartboard at a calendar going, oh, what shall I do today? Maybe I'll make some TikTok ads. I don't know. Maybe I'll make some TikTok videos. Maybe I'll do some IG posts. Maybe I'll, you know what I mean? And it's constantly that. So the number 8, the 8th reason that coaches and mentors get overwhelmed today in their business is because they don't have a consistent clockwork style lead attraction, lead gen, or what I like to call destiny client attraction system. I call it destiny client attraction system because I believe that you have clients that are destined to work with you. Okay, and when you can communicate your value, number one, with the celebrity style personal brand, and as well as communicate how you can really help your clients, then you know they're out. Your ideal clients are out there looking for you. I'll put it that way. They are out there looking for you. They want your help, but you need to meet them halfway by presenting to them in a way that can stand out to them so that they know what you are all about and how you can help them. And so the 8th reason that coaches and mentors get burnt out is that they don't have a clockwork style lead generation attraction system. So the 9th reason that coaches and mentors get burnt out is that they are basically trying to make bank with the wrong low-end offers. Trying to make bank with the wrong low-end offers. I talked a little bit about this earlier. When it comes down to the low-end offers, you know, that's, for example, like, you know, the $47 offers or the $97 offers or even the $2,000 or so offers, right? Now, there are the people out there who are what we call the giants in the info product industry, okay? These people have email lists that have 500,000 people or more, 100,000 people or more, a million people or more, okay? They have email lists like this. So can those people go out there and make bank on low-end offers? Probably. Why? Because low-end offers make bank based on volume. Okay? They're making money based on getting thousands of people enrolled into these programs. But oftentimes, if you don't have that, if you either don't have, multiple millions of dollars for an ad budget, if you do, great. Then, experimenting with that can work if it makes sense. Okay, I'm not a fan of trying to make that work out of the gate. I'm a fan of the ultra high end because that's my background. My background in the advertising agency world is working in the ultra high end. Why? It's the most effective. I was working on $150,000 websites in 1997. Now, what that meant is that I was working on and have worked with clients at a very high level to really help them create lasting solutions rather than just temporary solutions. And that's what you can do at the ultra high end. So the ninth reason that most coaches and mentors are getting burned out is that they're using the low end or low ticket offers in the wrong way, without having an ultra high end signature program that is that it's all truly about. And the thing is that, like I mentioned earlier, you don't even have to have a low end or micro offer in order to sell at the high ticket or the ultra high ticket rate. So to me, high end is anywhere between $3,000 and $20,000. Ultra high end is $20,000 and up. Now, you can most certainly have, as long as you're solving a major life or business issue that people have, it is very possible to have a $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 offer as your lowest yes, and have everything else be free, and have everything else be in what we call an indoctrination system, rather than trying to get $47 for a challenge. You do a free challenge, if you want to do it that way, but you don't even have to. You see, how it is that you attract clients should really be based on what gives you energy and what takes your energy. Because if you're somebody, let me give you an example of this. So if you're somebody who thrives at being either on camera or on podcasts, on the microphone, and you decide that one of your indoctrination sequences is that you're going to start a podcast and you're going to do film and audio, right? Well, if that like sparks you up, right, and brings you a lot of energy, then wonderful. Then you working towards doing that once a week kind of thing, or multiple times a week, can be something that works for you, not against you. On the other hand, if you are such a super introvert and you're just like still working at getting your camera presence dialed in and things like that, or you have too many things going on in your business or your life right now where doing a podcast doesn't make sense and it would take more energy from you, then I wouldn't advise that. I wouldn't advise that. You see, this is where strategy and personalization come in. And it's such a recent phenomena, really truly is, that people are out there saying, oh, there's only one way to build a business, that there's only one way to build a coaching or a mentor business. There's not. There's no right or wrong way for it. It's really about what works for you, for number one, your personality, right? It's about what works for your personality as well as your business, as well as bringing people in to your business and getting clients. And there's no right or wrong way. There's just the way that will work best for you or worst for you, And again, all of the things that are in this list, if any one of these is off or any one of these is overwhelming you more than the others, you probably have. If you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed in your coaching or mentor business, you likely have more than just one topic, one of these issues going on. You might have a multitude of them going on. So the ninth reason that most coaches and mentors get burnt out and overwhelmed is that they're trying to make money off of the low end or micro offers rather than the high ticket or the ultra high end offers. So one of the dirty little secrets is that the people that are out there doing the $55 challenges are not making money off of the $55 challenges. They're typically using that money to kind of bring them to a 0 point for their ad spend. And so they might actually be paying out more money for that, okay? So these micro offers that you see people doing out there, it really depends. I really don't advise it for everybody. I don't. Because and this is where the sequencing comes in. I most certainly don't recommend it unless you already have an ultra high end dialed in signature offer that's a time leveraging offer in like a group coaching or training program or some kind of an ultra high end capacity. And I will, at times I can advise the micro offers, but only in a way that it makes sense, okay? So don't have any illusions about these micro offers being something that's going to make you bank, because I know a lot of people are out there teaching it, but it really depends on where you're at in your business and what the sequence is. And I most certainly would never recommend it for somebody until they already have, number one, a celebrity style personal brand in place, and number two, a signature ultra high-end offer of 20K plus or more that's based around solving a major life or business problem that people have. And let's see here. And speaking of major life or business problems, the 10th reason that most coaches and mentors get burnt out in their business is they are not solving major life or business problems. They are not solving major life or business problems. Let's dive into this. So this is one of those things about the personal development industry especially. Now, in the personal development world, if you're out there talking about inspiration or happiness or peacefulness or feeling inspired or feeling this, these soft skills, right? Now, there's people that are, that are on the Oprah network, that are on different places, right? That are going out there, they're showing all these soft skills, aren't they? And they're selling these books. And they're getting people enrolled because they're selling these soft skills. They're selling inspiration. They're selling hope. They're selling peacefulness. They're selling mindset, right? Okay, let's break this down. Why doesn't this work for most coaches and mentors? The reason that it doesn't work for most coaches and mentors to come out of the gate with happiness, inspiration, feeling good is because, well, happiness, inspiration, and feeling good, those aren't major life or business problems. You see, the human brain is hardwired for survival. And when your ideal clients are out there looking for help, they might look at the inspiration stuff, the happiness stuff, and the feel-good stuff, and they might buy a $16 book. Are they going to spend $25,000 doing it? Only if you can present it as a major life or business problem that you solve. You see, happiness, inspiration, and lack thereof are major life or business problems, but what you need to do in order to actually make conversions with your business is you actually need to dial these major life or business problems in to how you can very specifically help your ideal clients. And they need to be ultra niched into an ideal target audience that has two things: the money to pay high-end rates and the desire to solve their problem. I'm going to say this one more time. The money to pay high-end rates or ultra high-end rates and the desire to solve their problem. Because not everybody who has the money to pay high-end rates or ultra high-end rates has the desire to solve their problem. Not everybody who has problems has the money to, has the money to solve them with high-end or ultra high-end solutions. So this is one of the biggest reasons that most coaches are overwhelmed or stressed, is because they're going, they're looking out there and they're like, oh, this New York Times bestselling author is on Oprah and they're talking about inspiration. Why can't I? Because you're not on Oprah. And if you don't have that kind of clout, if you don't have that celebrity household name status or that kind of credibility, the likelihood of the generalized soft skills selling is much lower. When you can dial in these soft skills to how they connect to very specific solutions for an ideal target audience that has the money to pay high-end rates and the desire to solve their problems, that's when you have traction, okay? And here's one of the dirty little secrets about the coaching and mentor business that you might not know, is that just because you see other people out there and they have a lot of people engaged, maybe they have 1 million books sold. Does that mean they're making bank off of those books? Maybe, maybe not. Just because you see that they might have 1,000 people in their $47 monthly program, does that mean that that's really sustaining and supporting their business? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on how many staff members they have. Depends on what their overhead is. They might just be getting by. Seriously, even if they're generating millions a month in revenue. You see, making money in your business making a profit in your business as a coach or mentor is different than just bringing money in, because you have hard business expenses to accommodate for. And just because you see, what looks like success on TV or in the magazines or in the newspapers or whatever, it may or may not actually translate into that company or that person actually making a profit and having a profitable business going on. Because when you have a lot of moving pieces in your business, you really need to know what's working for you and what's working against you. And so when it comes to, the soft skills and solving major life or business problems, if your soft skills about inspiration are not dialed into very specific and very hard tactics, when I say hard, I just mean very clear, right? Very clear tactics and strategy about how you can very specifically help people to create solutions to major life or business problems, you're probably not going to be doing that well in business unless you already have a lot of clout, or unless you already have a celebrity style personal brand and you're going out there based on volume. Thing is that I have people contact me on a regular basis that already have celebrity in their business, but they might have millions of followers, right? But they're not profiting from that because they're working at that ultra low end spectrum or the micro offers, and they're just, sometimes they have just way too many moving pieces in their business going on as well. So when it comes down to it, that 10th biggest reason that most coaches and mentors get really overwhelmed and burnt out with their mentor business is because they are not solving the major life or business problems that people are having. And, I just wanted to also point out the 11th reason, okay? I know we've been talking about 10, but there's one more. And this is one of the biggest problems that is out there for coaches and mentors when it comes to having a coaching or mentor business. And that is that you're having the wrong conversations with the wrong people, and you're diluting your energy out in the world. For example, so I live in Vegas and Minnesota. In Vegas, every single day there's a conference or a party, literally. Okay, you can throw a dart at a calendar and you're going to hit a day on there that there's going to be a conference or a party going on. So I've got a bunch of friends in Vegas who, and colleagues where, them going out and networking, it's a thing, right? Well, guess what? If you do that too much, it's not going to work for you. It's going to work against you. Because, and the same goes for some of the online networking and like masterminds in different places, right? So the number, the 11th reason that coaches and mentors these days are getting burnt out and overwhelmed is they're having the wrong conversations with the wrong people. And you need to be very specific about who you help, and to be, frankly, unafraid of turning the wrong people off, because you can't be everything to everyone. But what you can be is you can be the expert, the go-to expert for your target audience. You can be the go-to expert for your ideal clients. And when you have a really dialed in celebrity style personal brand, as well as a highly strategized mentor and coaching empire that is built to create a clockwork client acquisition system that works for your personality, not against your personality, that's when you've got the secret ingredients to really create a lifelong coaching and mentor empire that works for you, and even you can leave as a legacy behind when you cross over to the next world. Because I'm always looking at that. I'm always looking at long-term business strategy when it comes to business. And when it comes to business and helping today's up-and-coming thought leaders and coaches and mentors out there, well, I am looking for a few good mentors to join us as cast members at Mentors Tank TV and to be my clients at Mentors Tank Academy. So I'm going to start off with saying this isn't right for everyone. Okay, it's not. This particular Mentors Tank Academy program, I have a 12-week program. It's called Empire Builder. And what I'm doing and how it's connected to Mentors Tank TV is that the clients that the people that apply, and there's an application process that happens with it. And for those who are invited to become one of our clients here at Mentors Tank Academy, they work with us in a 12-week program we call Empire Builder, where we're starting with the celebrity style personal branding, as well as helping you create a clockwork client acquisition system as well, that's based on creating an ultra high-end 25K plus signature program and offer, and really create the strategy on how to start enrolling clients into that offer as well. And so it's a 12-week program, and what we're doing and how it's connected to Mentors Tank TV is that we're actually filming the entire process that somebody is going through when they're working with us. And we're filming mostly online, and then we actually do a live taping either in Las Vegas or Minnesota each quarter as well. We actually just did our live filming for the fall recently in Las Vegas, and have some amazing footage. And we also hold a 2-day retreat, so we're not just filming, but we're really diving deeply into creating lasting business solutions during the retreat as well. And so basically during the 12-week Empire Builder program, I am teaching our coaches and mentors who are accepted and invited into the program how to build, brand, and launch their ultra high-end signature program, group training, or coaching program in the ultra high end, so that they can really build a business that works for them, not against them. And this is also where I'm teaching them how to create leverage by helping them to create a celebrity style personal brand, and really that clockwork client attraction system that makes it so that your business is actually, well, again, working for you and not against you. And so this is not right for everybody. This is for bona fide experts only. So you don't have to have been a coach or a mentor per se for a number of years to be classified as what I would call an expert. You just need to have been in your industry for a significant period of time. For example, if you're coming from the corporate world as a specialist, and you've been had that corporate background or been a consultant or something like that, and you're transitioning into coaching or mentoring, as long as you're an expert at what it is you do, then I can work with that. Okay, for me, it's really important that everybody that works with us be bona fide experts at what they do. And another thing here is that I only work with people and companies who are doing something to make the world be a better place to live in, a better place for our kids and future generations to live in. And that's really important to me, because what I do and how I help my clients is very powerful. And the platforms that I create and the global ways that I help my clients get out there in the world, it's really important for me that people come from a place of ethics, and that they be doing something in their business that makes the world be a better place for our kids and future generations to live in as well. So if you think that you've got what it takes to really go global in your business, and you are really, someone who has a passion to really help make the world be a better place, you can go to mentorstankacademy.com to see a brief video where I just give an overview of what we're doing at Mentors Tank Academy, how it fits into Mentors Tank TV, and you can also apply directly on that page right there and submit, fill out the application. And once we receive your application, we'll check it out, and if we think it's a good fit to work together potentially, then someone from my team will reach out to you to and confirm that you are booked on our calendar. Through the application process, there's actually a calendar that's connected with it. So I think what you do is you fill out the calendar link, select your time, and then fill out the application. And if we feel like you might be a good fit for us, then we'll go ahead and keep that appointment on there. If we don't feel like it's going to be a fit for it, or you're not quite ready for that yet, we'll let you know as well with that. So when it comes to building a mentor and coaching business that works for you, it's really about having something that where you're keeping in mind the lifelong goals. Because as a coaching or mentor, when you have a coaching or mentor business, it's not just a flash in the pan kind of a thing. It's not. It's really what you want to do is you need to have a combination of short term and long term. And that's really what I like to do with my clients and how I help them in a really high touch way. And I keep my groups nice and small right now. So at Mentors Take Academy, we've got a small group of people that I'm working with, because that's the way that I'm able to really personally help each person that goes through our program. And when we do that, you're able to hit the ground running with what's going to work for you in both the short term and the long term, because everybody's coming at their business from a totally different place, right? Because you have your own unique experiences, and you have things that you might have different levels of development in different areas. You might have a strong social following but lack an ultra high-end program. You might have portions of an ultra high-end program but lacks a strong social following, or you might lack a celebrity style personal brand or things like that. And so that's where the Empire Builder program really comes in, and keeping my program small, because when I do that, I'm able to personally work with each person and help them with understanding and knowing what their next steps are in their business, so that they can really build a business and an empire that works for them and not against them. So the details on how to apply for Mentors Tank TV to be one of our cast members, as well as clients at Mentors Tank Academy, is at mentorstankacademy.com. So when it comes down to it, building a coaching or a business empire in the mentor world, it's an important job. You have lives to transform and businesses to transform. And when you can really keep mindful on what it is that's going to help you run your business more efficiently and more effectively, well, then you have a business that works for you and not against you. So with that said, really be mindful about how your business might be working for you, and as well as, be mindful about how, certain aspects of your business might not be working in your best interest. Because when you have too many moving pieces going on, well, or you're trying to do things in the wrong order, you're trying to do any of these things on this list in the wrong order, it can really work against you rather than for you. So I'm going to break this down one last time here in a really condensed version, and go over the top 10, or actually top 11 reasons that you might be overwhelmed or stressed in your mentor business. So here they are. The top 10 reasons you are overwhelmed or stressed out or burnt out in your coaching or mentor business. Number 1, you're trying to do too many things at the same time. You're trying to do too much at once. You can't reinvent the entire wheel and the cart and the horse at the same time, okay? So the first reason that most coaches and mentors are overwhelmed is that they're trying to do too much at once. Number 2 is they're doing things in the wrong sequence. If you do things in the wrong sequence, it's like putting the cart before the horse, and where is that going to get you? Number 3, you might not have an ultra high-end offer of $20,000 and up. So this is one of the biggest reasons that coaches and mentors are overwhelmed in their business, because they're trying to make their money from low-end offers rather than having an ultra high-end offer of $20,000 and up to be the so-called main course for their business to really help them create traction. The fourth biggest reason that coaches and mentors are overwhelmed in their business is they're trying to overhaul everything instead of, just some slight tweaks, when some slight tweaks might be really helpful. Or they're trying to overhaul everything in their whole sequence, when maybe there's just one piece. Maybe it's a social piece, or maybe it's the words or the language on something. Or even, if you're working with Facebook groups, maybe there's just some language that needs to change, how you're even describing your group to people, right? Sometimes those small, subtle tweaks can really help, and sometimes you don't need to overhaul everything at once. But sometimes if you come at your coaching or mentor business with overhauling everything, that's the fourth reason that coaches and mentors can burn out. The fifth reason that coaches and mentors get stressed and burnt out in their business is they're focusing on micro when they should be focused on macro. For instance, if you're making some videos for indoctrination sequences, and you're just focused on like TikTok and what's going to elevate the platform and the algorithm on TikTok, and that's really super micro, rather than focused on creating the best kind of video content that you possibly can that's going to perform on all of the platforms, that's macro. So the fifth reason that coaches and mentors get burnt out is that they're focused too much on micro when they need to go macro. The sixth reason that coaches and mentors are burnt out and stressed is that they don't have enough industry positioning, aka celebrity style personal branding. That's the language that I use to describe it. If you don't have celebrity style personal branding, then it doesn't matter how much you're letting people know about what you do. If you don't have this clout and this credibility that you create from having a celebrity style personal brand, then it might fall on deaf ears, because you need to have industry positioning. Now again, this doesn't necessarily mean that you're a household name. There's two different types of celebrity. One is the household name, the other is industry celebrity. And when you are seen as the go-to expert in your niche industry, that is when it can really help you. The seventh reason that most coaches and mentors get burnt out is that they don't have an indoctrination sequence going on in their business. So if you don't have an indoctrination sequence that's really all about helping to define for your ideal clients how it is that you can help them, who you are, what you bring to the table, and showing them your philosophy around things, that's one of those reasons that people can get really stressed out in their coaching or mentor business. Because if you don't have that, you might be wasting your time by saying the same thing over and over again on discovery calls to people, when if you had your indoctrination sequences dialed in, you could already basically pre-indoctrinate people so that they understand a lot more about you and your philosophy before they get on a call with you. And the eighth reason that most coaches and mentors get stressed and overwhelmed in their business is that they don't have a clockwork client attraction lead generation strategy. Okay, that's pretty straightforward right there. If you don't have a clockwork style lead attraction system, and you don't have a way to get people into your business and introduced, that's one of the biggest reasons right there that coaches and mentors can get burnt out. And the ninth reason that coaches and mentors burn out is that you're trying to make money, you're trying to make bank with the wrong low-end micro offers. Again, these are those $47 offers or $97 offers. Unless you have millions of dollars to invest into advertising, or you have a list of 500,000 people or more, trying to make bank off of those micro offers is going to be a really hard thing. And this is one of the dirty little secrets out there in the coaching and mentor business industry, is that those micro offers are actually not making a lot of people very much money. They often actually just help to offset some ad spend that people are doing, and where they're making the bulk of the money is on the high ticket or the high end or ultra high end offers. And the 10th reason that coaches and mentors are getting burnt out on their businesses is that they are not solving a major life or business problem that an ideal target audience has. an ultra niched audience has, which to me, an ultra niche is a term that I coined to define precisely an ideal target audience that has the money to pay ultra high-end rates and the desire to solve their problems. And if you are not solving major life or business problems in your business, that could be the reason that you are stressed or burnt out on your mentor business. And there's actually one more. There's an 11th reason. And the 11th reason that you may be burnt out or stressed or overwhelmed in your coaching or mentor business is that you are having the wrong conversations with the wrong people. If you're doing too much networking out there and you don't have a dialed in celebrity style personal brand, you could be wasting your time networking because you're introducing yourself the wrong way to the wrong people. Or maybe you're out there introducing yourself as a life coach. Who cares? I'm sorry. We're in the business of making money, not having a hobby. Being a life coach, that is so generalized, it's probably not going to work, especially in this day and age. So, life coach, it's not working as well, okay? In order to really have your business work and have your business work for you and create conversions, you need to be a specialist, not just a generalist. Life coach is like saying you're a general practitioner of a doctor. If you look at the medical field, who makes the most money in the medical field as doctors? Is it the general practitioners who can solve everything from vitamin B12 deficiency, just give you a little thing for this, to your yearly checkup, to all this stuff? Are they making bank? Or is it the surgeons and the specialists, the ear, nose, and throat specialists, the muscle specialists, the specialists? They are the ones that are making more money, right? And so in today's world, if you're going off as a general life coach, general business coach, it's probably not going to create those conversions for you that you really want. And so the 11th reason that you might be burnt out or overwhelmed in your coaching or mentor business is that you're having the wrong conversations with the wrong people. So to learn how to have the right conversations with the right people, well, right now I'm looking for a few good mentors to join me at Mentors Tank Academy and Mentors Tank TV, to become cast members at Mentors Tank TV. And I've got some details about what I'm doing with that, again, at Celebrity. Actually, this one is a little different one. I have a Celebrity Branding Boot Camp, but this one is for our Mentors Tank Academy. So this URL is mentorstankacademy.com is where you can find out all the details on how to apply for Mentors Tank TV and Academy, and see if you are a good fit to work with my 12-week Empire Builder program. And if you are not quite ready for TV yet, or like making that leap to a global atmosphere yet, I also have a 4-week program called Star Power Boot Camp, where I am teaching people just the very specific details on how to create celebrity style personal brands. And I'm going to be launching that program soon as well. So if you are curious to see if you are a fit to work with us here at Mentors Tank Academy or with my Star Power Boot Camp, go ahead and comment mentor below this video or this audio, however you're joining us here today, and we'll get back to you with some details on what we're doing at Mentors Tank Academy, and start the conversation there and see if you are a good fit to work with us here and start the application process at Mentors Tank Academy. And if you are curious to see if you're a fit for our Star Power Boot Camp, which is all about learning how to create a celebrity style personal brand so you can create more traction for the offers that you already have out there, comment Star Power below, and someone from my team will get back to you about the next steps involved with that. Because right now we have application only ways that we are working with clients, because my programs are really at this point in time kept very small, so that I'm able to really help people in some personalized ways. So, well, there you have it, my top 10 or 11 tips about why coaches and mentors are so overwhelmed and stressed in their businesses these days, And, hopefully this will shine some light on some of those reasons that you really might be experiencing some overwhelm in your business, because I hear from a lot of coaches and mentors these days that they're overwhelmed, but it's really hard for a lot of them to identify exactly where they're overwhelmed and why, because so many of them are just, they're kind of like stumbling around in the dark trying to find the answers through a series of disjointed tactics, when what they really need is an overall arching strategy. And that's really my specialty, is helping people with not only the overall arching strategy, but how to implement the very specific tactics that are going to work for them and for their personalities, rather than against them. Because there's no one right way to build a mentor empire. It's all about what works for you and your personality and your goals. And when you're dialed in to, what that's going to be, that's going to work for you, well, then you're able to have a business that profits for you, it's something that works for you, not against you. So, and in a way that makes it so that you don't get burnt out, so that you wake up each Monday and you are raring to go because you're excited about the mentor empire that you have. And we have a no burnout business policy here at Mentors Tank Academy, because the way that I teach my clients is really how to build burnout proof businesses, because I feel like if you have too many moving pieces going on, or you're trying to overhaul way too many things at once, what you're doing is you're building a burnout business model. And I say no to burnout business models, and I say yes to time leveraging business models, with your mentor or coaching empire that really work for you, that also include a clockwork client acquisition system, so that you understand and know what work means to you, and that you can really help your clients in a deep way, through creating major life and business solutions for them. So with that said, have a wonderful rest of your day, and cheers to love, health, wealth, and the time to enjoy it. Till next time.